I never should have clicked on that video. But I did. And that was the moment my life changed forever. It all started when I traveled out of town for work. Just another mind-numbingly dull business trip. Long meetings filled with buzzwords like synergy and optimization, bland hotel food that somehow managed to taste like cardboard, and forced small talk with colleagues who pretended to care about each other's lives. By the second night, I was mentally drained. I had finished my reports, ignored 3 emails from my boss that all started with "just circling back," Zrenia, and had reached the dangerous level of boredom where I actually considered reading the hotel's emergency exit instructions for entertainment. Instead, I grabbed my phone. I checked social media, nothing but baby pictures, engagement announcements, and people from high school trying to sell me diet shakes. I flipped through the TV channels, nothing but reruns and a terrible action movie from the 90s where the hero was unnecessarily sweaty the entire time. I needed something to keep me occupied, and that's when I did what most men do when they're alone in a hotel room with nothing but time and a strong Wi-Fi connection. I took a little trip down the dark alleyways of the internet. Now, let's get one thing straight. I wasn't looking for trouble. I wasn't out to uncover a dark secret or ruin my night. I just wanted to, relax. So there I was, scrolling through an adult website, minding my own business, when a certain thumbnail caught my eye. A woman in a black mask. I paused. There was something about her. Maybe it was her body shape, the curve of her waist, or the way she tilted her head slightly like she was waiting for someone to make the first move. I couldn't explain it, but something about her seemed familiar. I hesitated. My gut twisted slightly, but I ignored it. It's just a random video, Brad, I told myself. Stop overthinking. Curious, I clicked. The video started like any other. A dimly lit room, soft music playing in the background. The woman, wearing a black mask, moving with confidence, teasing, speaking in a sultry tone. I watched casually, not really thinking too much about it. Then she laughed. I froze. My heart skipped a beat. That laugh. I knew that laugh. I had heard it 1,000 times before, while cooking dinner together, while watching stupid sitcoms, while laying in bed whispering jokes at night. Jessica. A chill ran down my spine. I leaned in closer, turning up the volume slightly. She spoke again. My stomach twisted into a knot. I knew that voice. I had heard it whisper sweet nothings in my ear. I had heard it yell at me when I forgot to take the trash out. I had heard it order way too much Starbucks on a Sunday morning. No way. It couldn't be. I shook my head, trying to brush off the ridiculous thought forming in my brain. This was just some woman who happened to sound like my wife. That was all. Right? But as the video continued, I noticed more things. The way she moved, fluid, confident, effortless. The way she flipped her hair over her shoulder, just like Jessica did. My mouth was dry, my hands were sweaty. And then I saw it. The birthmark. A small, crescent-shaped mark on the right side of her waist. My wife had the exact same birthmark. I shot up from the bed like I had been electrocuted. No way. I squinted at the screen, my heart pounding. My brain was desperately trying to come up with an explanation. Maybe it's a coincidence? Maybe it's a deep fake? Maybe I'm just sleep-deprived and losing my mind? But the more I watched, the harder it became to deny. This woman wasn't just some random actress. This was Jessica. A cold sweat broke out on my forehead. I needed more proof. I clicked out of the video and started searching. I typed in the masked woman's name from the video title and scrolled through the results. And that's when I found them. 3 different videos, all featuring the same masked woman, all featuring her. In every single one, she wore a mask, but there was no mistaking it. I knew that body. I knew those movements. I knew her. My breath was coming in short, shallow gasps. I felt like I was going to be sick. I slammed my laptop shut, my hands trembling. My mind was spinning out of control, Jessica, my sweet, loving, innocent wife, a former adult film actress, and she never told me. I sat there staring at the wall, my brain completely frozen. How? Why? When? I had so many questions, but one thing was certain. My marriage would never be the same again. I spent the rest of the night pacing around my hotel room, my thoughts doing somersaults in my head. My emotions were tangled up like a pair of headphones pulled out of a pocket. Betrayed? Yes. Angry? Definitely. Turned on? Unfortunately, a little bit. Listen, I won't sugarcoat it. Jessica had always been phenomenal in bed. I'm not just talking about the good kind of phenomenal. I mean the kind of phenomenal that made me rethink my entire existence every time we did it. She had skills that made my brain shut down mid-sentence. There were nights I'd just lay there afterward, staring at the ceiling like a man who had just seen the face of God. She knew things, did things that would make a grown man giggle like a schoolboy. Before I met Jessica, I thought I was experienced. I thought I knew what I was doing. Boy, was I an idiot. The first time we slept together, I walked into that bedroom thinking I was the one in charge. 5 minutes in, I realized I was nothing more than an amateur student in the presence of a seasoned professor. And Jessica? She was the valedictorian of pleasure. She flipped me, twisted me, did things to me I didn't even know were possible. There was one time I actually had to pause in the middle of it and ask, "Where the hell did you learn that?" She had just smiled, kissed me, and whispered, "Don't worry about it." At the time, I had thought it was cute. Now I knew where she learned it. And it wasn't from some random Cosmopolitan article. Honestly, Jessica's talents were one of the reasons I married her. Of course, there were other reasons. I loved her, she was funny, she had this infectious energy that made even the most boring days exciting. But let's be real here. If a woman can make you question reality with just a flick of her tongue, you start thinking, yeah, I can spend the rest of my life with her. I mean, imagine dating someone who makes every intimate moment feel like a damn religious experience. Would you ever let that go? Exactly. But now, I was stuck in this mental paradox. Had I been too lucky? Was I just some clueless idiot who walked into a gold mine without realizing the land had been thoroughly excavated before I got there? I collapsed onto the bed, rubbing my temples. How the hell was I supposed to process this? My wife had professional experience. She had been in the adult film industry, and she had never, not once, mentioned it. I had to find out by accident. While sitting in a hotel room, in my boxers, eating Pringles. Of all the ways I could have discovered this life-altering information, this had to be the worst. Not through an emotional confession, not through a deep, meaningful conversation. I found out while mindlessly scrolling through an adult website, with sour cream and onion dust on my fingers. There was something deeply wrong about that. I sighed, staring at the ceiling. What the hell was I supposed to do now? I couldn't just ignore it. But I also couldn't stop thinking about how good she was in bed. Damn it. This was going to be a long, confusing night. The moment I got home, I knew I had to confront her. I had spent the entire flight back practicing this conversation in my head, running through different scenarios, trying to prepare for every possible reaction. Would she cry? Would she deny it? Would she somehow convince me that I was hallucinating, that the Pringles I had been eating that night were laced with some kind of delusion-inducing chemical? I didn't know. But I did know one thing. I was not going to let her gaslight me into thinking I hadn't seen what I had seen. I walked into the house, trying to act normal, but my brain was on fire. Jessica greeted me with a kiss. A kiss. Like nothing had happened. Like she wasn't secretly a former masked celebrity in the adult film industry. Like my entire world hadn't been flipped upside down. "Hey, babe, how was your trip?" she asked, smiling. My trip? Oh, you mean the trip where I accidentally found out my wife used to be a highly skilled professional in ways I wasn't even emotionally prepared to process? Fine, I muttered, forcing a smile. We need to talk. Her smile faltered, but she kept her voice casual. About what? I took a deep breath, then pulled out my phone. I didn't say a word, just pressed play. Jessica's face went from smiling wife to deer caught in headlights in 0.2 seconds. Her eyes widened. Where did you get that? I tilted my head. Where do you think I got it? She took a step back, her expression shifting from shock to panic. I don't know what you think you saw, but that's not me. Oh, she was really going to try this? I let out a dry laugh. Jessica, come on. She huffed, crossing her arms. Babe, you're being ridiculous. You think I'd do something like that? I raised an eyebrow. Oh, we're going to lie. I swiped to a different part of the video and held the phone closer. See that? I pointed at the screen. That's your birthmark. You know, the tiny crescent-shaped one on the right side of your waist? Jessica's face drained of color. I continued, and the way you move? The way you flip your hair? The way you laugh? Jessica, I know my own wife. She swallowed hard. Babe, I swear that's not... I shut off the phone and folded my arms. Don't lie to me, Jessica. She stared at me for a few seconds, then shifted tactics. Well, why were you even on that website, huh? Ah, the classic reverse Uno card. I actually laughed. Oh, don't even try to turn this around on me. I was there for normal reasons. You, on the other hand, were there for professional reasons. She groaned and sank onto the couch, rubbing her temples. Brad, I can explain. Oh, I bet you can, I said, sitting across from her, arms still folded. And I'd love to hear it. Jessica hesitated, then took a deep breath. It was a stupid mistake. I was young, I needed money, and I did a few videos. A few? My voice was flat. How many is a few? She bit her lip. 5, she mumbled. I nearly choked. 5? Jesus, Jessica. Brad, I was broke. I was desperate. I didn't think it would follow me forever. I stared at her, still processing. And you just weren't going to tell me? She threw her hands in the air. Why would I? Would you have married me if you knew? Probably not. Jessica groaned. Exactly. We sat in silence for a moment. I could hear the clock ticking on the wall. Then I sighed, rubbing my face. Do people recognize you? She shook her head quickly. Number I wore a mask in all of them. No one has ever recognized me, except, apparently, you. I let out a slow breath. This is a lot, Jessica. I know, she whispered. I'm sorry, I really am. I stared at her, my mind still spinning, my emotions still tangled. But one thing was clear. I had given her a chance to come clean, and she had lied to my face. I couldn't just let that slide. I leaned forward, my voice low and firm. If you keep lying to me, Jessica, if you keep trying to weasel your way out of this instead of telling me the full truth, I will walk out of this marriage. Jessica's eyes widened. Brad, no, I'm serious, I cut in. If you want me to stay, if you want to fix this, you tell me everything, right now. No more lies, no more half-truths. Otherwise, I swear to God, I'll pack my bags and go. Jessica was silent, her lower lip trembling. For the first time since this conversation started, I saw genuine fear in her eyes. She knew I wasn't bluffing. She took a shaky breath, clasping her hands together. Okay, she whispered. I'll tell you everything. For the next few days, my brain was at war. Could I move past this? Could I still look at Jessica the same way? The truth was, I still loved her. She was still the same woman who made me laugh, who made me breakfast, who sang terribly in the shower. She was also still the same woman who could make me see God in the bedroom. Seriously, the woman was talented. In the end, I decided to let it go. One night, as we lay in bed, I turned to her. Okay, I sighed. I forgive you. Jessica's eyes filled with relief. You do? I nodded. Yeah, but no more secrets. And if I ever see another video pop up, I'm putting my head in the oven. Jessica laughed and kissed me. Deal. And just like that, we moved forward. But let me tell you something. I never clicked on an adult website again. You know, just in case.